While you're doing that, Bishop, I forgot to mention, Bishop books have been translated to Arabic and it's been really sought for wonderfully. There's one book right now that we are going to translate. Help us financially for that. Help us to support Bishop translating his book into the Arab world. Give toward that mission. He doesn't have to pay that himself. Help us to help him translate his book to go into the Arab world.
Yeah, the book we're working on is the 380-page book, The Global Apostolic Movement and the Progress of the Gospel. So that thing could cause a real reformation in the churches that'll go from Lebanon to the Middle East and pastors. So excited about that. It's very serious reading, and I think you could do a lot for the region. Yeah, so any donation would help. Probably going to be about $5,000 to publish all the books and print about 500 at least. Translated, all that, cover, graphics, all of that. Probably only 5,000. If anyone could help, that would be great. Okay, so we have with us Elijah Lowe, and Elijah is a futurist, a global economist. He's involved in a lot of city transformation. We met somehow 10, 15 years ago. I'm not even sure if it was in person, on phone, or whatever, but he's just an amazing thinker. He's working on a book that will deal with the subject at hand today. And we did one table called AI as the next mission field. And it was just so groundbreaking and so important and informative. I asked Elijah to put a second part to it. So Elijah's going to share the screen with us and review the first part of AI as the next mission, and then he's going to build on that so we could follow, even if we didn't get on the first table with this subject. So Elijah, good to see you. Thanks for helping us again.
Thanks, Bishop Joe. I think where we first met was in Australia, when Australia was trying to put the Apostolic Roundtable together. Yeah, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. They brought me in when John McNamara was leading it.
Yeah.
And Sean Morris was there. Okay, that was like, was that 12 years ago? 10 years? I don't know.
Yeah, that was like about 12 years ago, I think.
Wow. Yeah, I helped them with strategy and thinking through the apostolic. Wow. So it was in person. It was amazing. Well, thank you for your time again, Elijah. And by all means, tell us about the book you're coming out with, and then, share what you have to say now about it. A lot has changed and transpired since we first started talking about this. 2 months ago, we started dealing with this AI. They call it double exponential. Almost everyone's beginning to talk about it, and it's just constantly changing. There's so much more coming out. So why don't you bring us up to speed on what's happening?
Also, Bishop, also want to acknowledge your foresight. I believe that your group here was the first group in the entire Christian community that talked about AI in a serious way. Even before it started taking the kind of traction it's taking right now. Wow.
Yeah, you're probably right. I never heard of any other Christian leaders talking about this 2 months ago. But yeah, we try to be ahead of the curve as much as we can in culture to craft and impact the world. So praise God for that. All right.
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. Are you able to see it? Can I?
Yeah, we see it.
You can see it? Okay. Yeah. So this is the book I'm working on right now. It's called Navigating AI with Faith. And that's basically to help Christians understand what's happening, understand the terminology and understand, give them a framework to think through how it's going to interact with their faith and their belief, as well as for parents on how to raise your children for a world that's going to be really different than what they grew up in. A lot of jobs that exist that their grandfathers may have had, their fathers may have had, may not exist for them. So this is what the book is going to deal with. I expect to publish it probably next week or sometime next week. Okay, so November 30th, 2022. This is really the defining moment for civilization because it was the launch of ChatGPT. Okay, ChatGPT, it's not just about the service of the product, it's what it unlocked. Okay, this is the closest we've ever been to what we call an AGI in terms of artificial intelligence. But let me try to put some perspective around how significant this day was. Okay, ChatGPT launched in November 30th, 2022. Within 2 months, it had 100 million users. Okay, it took Facebook 4.5 years to get 100 million users. Okay, and ChatGPT did that in under 2 months. When ChatGPT launched, Google CEO basically issued a code red, basically saying that their business is dead unless something is done fast and immediate. And basically, Page and Brain were the founders of Google. They were no longer involved in the day-to-day operations. He basically called them back and said, you guys need to come back, otherwise Google will not exist anymore. Now, it's kind of interesting because ChatGPT is a small organization, relatively small organization, and Google, it is kind of like a David and Goliath situation. Google is basically a $1.5 trillion company. It has about 350,000 employees, and they hire some of the smartest people in the world all work for Google. And for them to issue a code red, okay, that means they can see things that that we should be paying attention to. Bill Gates basically, after the launch of ChatGPT, basically said that this AI could kill Google and Amazon, both of them, and two of the largest companies. Google CEO basically said that AI is more important than fire or electricity. And the Microsoft CEO basically said AI is going to shape everything that we do. Okay, so let's try to understand what just took place. Okay, you see, the narrative of human civilization has always kind of been like this, where on the y-axis you have the development, x-axis you have time, and we go through short periods or transitions whereby there's a huge amount of changes that happen in a short period of time, followed by long periods of time where we just have incremental changes. Okay, so it's really a long period of time where things just improve, but doesn't absolutely change the world. But then after that, we go through another transition and major changes happen. And during this period of transition, that's when large companies rise and fall. Governments potentially could be affected as well. The last major transition period was the internet. We can pretty much describe the world before internet and after internet. And you see companies like Blockbusters, who were once giants in the video rental retail space, basically get wiped out because they couldn't navigate or didn't navigate the transition fast enough. It's not that they didn't do streaming, they did, but they just didn't do it fast enough like the way Netflix did it. And now today we have Netflix and we no longer have Blockbusters. Same thing with Borders. So understanding the time and the season that we live in, it's going to be really important for us to navigate what's going to come after that. So when we talk about AI as a mission field, I showed this diagram, to help bring some understanding as to when we talk about AI, what exactly is AI? Okay, so AI is, you got to think about it as kind of like what the mind is for human, AI is for technology. Okay, AI is like the mind, Okay, not the brain, the mind. Okay, so it's not the physical thing that makes technology and computer work, but it's the software or the algorithms or the mind, if you can think about it. So for most of the time when people say AI, depending on who you talk to, people in the industry, usually what they mean is narrow AI. Okay, you talk to statisticians, you talk to mathematicians, most of them mean narrow AI. But when you talk to someone who watch a lot of movies and they're not really from the industry, when you talk about AI, what usually comes to their mind is actually AGI or ASI. Okay, this is the difference. Narrow AI, basically, a lot of them whereby you train the algorithm to do one thing and it does it really well. Okay, like computer vision for self-drivings, robotics like Boston Dynamics, machine learning like to read X-rays, natural language processing like Alexa, Siri. But basically, what it is that it's only able to do one thing and one thing really well. AGI, on the other hand, is means artificial general intelligence. It's basically saying that, you know, let's not try to create an AI just to do one thing. Let's try to create AI to be like a human mind, where everything a human mind can do, it can do. So you do not actually specifically train it on one thing, but you try to raise it up like how you would raise a human being. Okay, and you educate it like how you educate a human being, and from there, it will behave like a human being. Okay, and then the next level from that is ASI, which basically means it surpasses, you know, the intelligence of a human being. And when ChatGPT came out, why it was so significant was because they claim it was trained as a narrow AI, but it behaved very, very close to an AGI. So in other words, it was never trained to be a doctor, but it could answer questions better than some doctors, and it can pass the medical board exam. It was never trained to be a lawyer, but it can pass law exams, the bar exam. Okay, so that's why ChatGPT became so significant. Since the launch of ChatGPT, we see a Colombian judge begin to use ChatGPT in his ruling. We see Romania's prime minister hiring the world's first AI government advisor. So basically what happens is that they have an AI now that sits in all the meetings with the prime minister to advise him, okay, in an official capacity. So this is what has been happening since the launch of ChatGPT. So let's talk about some of the impact and risk. Okay, with narrow AI, the main impact and that we have seen is basically increase in productivity. Okay, X-rays. You know, a radiologist could read and analyze X-ray more effectively, more efficiently than ever before. People could get a lot more done with less time. Increases productivity. As we approach AGI, especially with ChatGPT, this kind of unlocks a whole new level of issues, challenges, and threats. And I'm going to go through them. And there's 5 that I want to talk about. Okay, the first one is what we call an AI arms race. Okay, basically, this thing is going to so significantly impact society that every major company, not every major company, let me rephrase that. The major companies in these industries are in an arms race to be the first one to achieve AGI, and more importantly, a superior AGI compared to the rest of the competitors. The main companies in the arms race is Google, Microsoft, OpenAI, and now, and as of yesterday, Elon Musk has officially launched that he did incorporate a company called XAI, and they're going to compete in this race as well. Now, Elon Musk cannot be underestimated because he was the one that pioneered OpenAI, the makers of ChatGPT. He incorporated the company in May, which was about four or 5 months after the launch of ChatGPT, and he bought 10,000 GPUs as his initial purchase to start this company. Let me put this in perspective. When China launched their AI as a country, okay, their AI research, they hired Andrew Ng from Stanford, okay, and the first thing he did when he went to Baidu and Andrew Ng also was the one that helped Google start the Google Brain, which is one of their AI departments. And the first thing he did when he arrived was that he said, I needed GPUs to train the AI. And the Chinese government asked him, how many do you need? He said, I need 1,000. And the Chinese government got him 1,000 GPUs. GPUs stand for graphical processing units. Got him 1,000 of them in under 24 hours. Okay. And he said, when he was working at Google, and when he requested something similar, it took Google months to fulfill the request. Okay, so this is what I mean by AI's arms race. Okay, the Chinese government is very serious on trying to have AI superiority over the US. And they are absolutely throwing a lot of resources towards winning this arms race. So we're going to face so coming back to Elon Musk. So in April, he purchased 10 times what the Chinese government purchased to start this AI company called XAI. And yesterday, he just officially announced that, yes, I've created this company and we're going to compete in the race to create AGI. Okay, so because of such a significance of this technology, you're going to see other countries joining the race as well. I wouldn't be surprised, but they will do it very quietly. I believe Israel would be part of the arms race, Russia for sure, and probably India, I'm not sure. The European countries, they might band together to compete in this race. But basically, the world's going to face an AI arms race. The next threat is political. Why would countries be involved in this? Because with the power of AI, you can begin to exert influence over democratic countries. Okay, non-democratic countries are less at risk to this political threat. Democratic countries are more at risk because democratic countries depend on the public to vote. Okay, and with AI, what they realize is that AI does a really good job in persuading the public. Okay, it does it in two ways. One, in its ability to write very persuasive pieces, whether they are TV ads, radio ads, social media ads, anything that communicates, AI does a much better job than a human. Secondly, AI can do something called nudging. And this was a research done by Cornell University. And they did an experiment whereby they got AI to change a person's political belief without them knowing about it. So, and they did it as an experiment. And they realized that, yes, AI can actually nudge or shift a person's political belief without them knowing about it. Social unrest. So what's happening in this challenge is that AI is going to so massively change the way things are done, okay? Whereby you're going to see a lot of layoff and a lot of unemployment, and this is going to result in potentially social unrest unless the governments react to it and do something about the massive unemployments that are coming. The next threat is, and I'm going to go to more into that in the next few slides about the potential social unrest. The next one is new world religions. The AI could potentially create another religion based off on the Christian Bible and become more convincing than the Christian faith, therefore creating a new world religion. That's another potential threat. The other one is deep fakes. Right now, it only takes 4 seconds of sample from a person's voice to be able to recreate an audio to make them say whatever you want them to say. Well, deepfakes now, we also have the ability to do it in video as well. So when you actually Zoom call with someone, it's really hard to tell if that's really the person or it's someone else, because deepfake now can replicate everything from voice to video. So those are the 5 major issues that we'll face. The other one is what we call the existential threat. The premise of this is actually quite simple. The idea is this: human civilization up to this point have been built on the premise that we are the most intelligent life form on the planet. Okay, in other words, we are not the strongest compared to other animals and creatures. We are not the fastest. We cannot fly. We cannot breathe underwater. But what we are able to do is that we are able to have higher intelligence than all the other of God's creation, and hence we get to rule the planet, and hence we get to have dominion over all the other living creatures. The challenge is that no one actually knows what happens if we actually create a life form, if you can think about it that way, or a mind that is actually more intelligent than us. What if there's something else that's more intelligent than humans on this planet? Is it going to, and even more frightening is the fact that it's been trained on everything that we know and our history. And so that means every bad characteristics of a human could potentially be part of it as well, including greed and desire for power and all that stuff. And what happens if it's more intelligent than us? Would it then try to rule us? Would it then try to oppress us? Nobody really knows. Or would it try to wipe out the entire human race? So that's kind of like a major question mark. But that's what the existential threat is about. Okay, so since the launch of ChatGPT, Goldman Sachs basically did an estimate and did a calculation on the AI impact on the world. And Goldman Sachs actually has some really, really smart people working in that company. And they basically estimated that there'll be about 300 million full-time job loss. Okay, the AI will replace about 300 million jobs, full-time jobs. What that would mean would be, okay, let me put it in perspective for you. During the Great Depression, at its very height, okay, the amount of job loss would be half of what they are projecting. So in other words, if they are right, we're going to face a situation twice as bad as the Great Depression. Okay, since the launch of ChatGPT, okay, these are the technology companies that have announced layoffs. Amazon, 18,000 jobs, Google, 12,000, Meta, which is Facebook, 11,000, Microsoft, 10,000. Okay, in other words, now, to be fair, it could be a combination of stuff. It could be a combination of interest rates, it could be a combination of other things. But it just so happens that these companies are also all the leading companies on AI. Okay, so it's not such a big stretch of imagination to believe that they have already implemented AI to replace jobs within their own company. Okay, now these are the companies that have also, in the media company, these are the companies that also announced layoff. National Geographic is laying off 100% of all their writers. Axel Springer, Europe's largest publishing house, say that they're replacing most of their jobs with AI. In May, if you remember, there was a protest in California. I think it was in LA, where TV and film writers were trying to ask for a ban on AI in their industry. Why? Because right now AI can actually do a better job than most of them in terms of being able to write film scripts, TV shows, and all that. And these are the thing I think most people was not expecting. They were not expecting AI to have creative abilities, to be able to write original content, to be able to be creative like a human, and even more interestingly, become more creative and produce higher quality creative material than humans at the start. So the medical profession is going to be one of those going to be hugely impacted by AI. Why? Because, for example, radiologists, right now at the current state of AI can do a much better job than human radiologists. And at January 2023, the FDA cleared almost 400 radiology AI algorithms. These are the other jobs at risk that they have identified so far: medical coders, medical transcriptionists, and the list goes on. As you can see here, finance, in the finance sector, AI now can do a better job in trading than most human traders. Financial advisors, financial analysts especially, AI can do a much better job now. Accountants, bookkeepers. On the legal side, the latest estimate is that 44% of all legal jobs can be replaced by an AI. There are some issues that they have to get over, like AI hallucination, and I do cover that in my book, but just to give you an idea. Transport, cab drivers, truck drivers, courier service. This is all coming on the pipelines with the self-driving cars and self-driving trucks. Because why? Because AI truck drivers, will kill less people per year than human truck drivers do. So there's a lot of motivation to replace truck drivers with AI. The fashion industry, another area that most people were not expecting. Shein has become the most feared brand in the fashion industry because it's powered by AI. It's right now the second most downloaded app in the US. Okay, and they have absolutely caused an earthquake in the entire fashion industry. Their AI now can produce new fashion designs within 3 days and bring it to market. Right now they have 600,000 items, fashion items for sale. And their AI now is basically outsmarting all the other fashion houses in this ability to predict and to be able to market based on what people want. They're right now a $100 billion company. So these are all things that have happened recently. Okay, so this is to help you understand what's really taking place. Okay, this is what we call the factors of production. This was developed by Adam Smith 200 years ago. And this is taught in all economic 101 class to economic students. And basically the model is really, really simple. It says that land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship is what creates goods and services. Okay, so for a country to have more goods and services or to increase its economic productivity, it needs to either increase land, increase labor, or increase capital. Okay, but I'm going to show you what some of the recent revolution has done to this base model. With the internet, the internet was the easiest to understand. Basically, what it did was that instead of requiring more land to increase productivity, let's say for a bookstore, okay, if you had a retail bookstore, for you to have more sales, you needed to have more shops. To have more shops, you needed to buy more land and build more buildings. Okay, simple concept. Okay, what the internet did was the internet was absolutely changed the dynamics of the factors of production, whereby it says, no, you do not need more land. With the internet, you can have a website and you can sell to the entire world without buying land to build retail shops. Okay, so it basically totally changed the dynamics of what land does in these factors of production. Okay, and that's why companies can go from $0 to $1 billion really quickly because it was no longer constrained by land. With cryptocurrency, what was beginning to do was to impact capital. So essentially what it could do was it could create products and services, it could create the same thing of what the internet did for land. Cryptocurrency was doing that for the capital factor of production. Now, what AI is going to do is that AI is going to impact the labor component of the factors of production. Okay, so in the past, that if you needed to say produce more TV shows, you needed to hire more writers, and that kind of went in proportion with how much you want to increase your productivity. AI would basically say, nope, you can eliminate all the humans and you can scale as much production as you want because your labor costs will be near to zero. And so hence the other reason why companies are racing, okay, to either incorporate AI or to develop AI, because this absolutely changes the game for them. And companies that don't will be wiped out by the competitors who do. Okay, think about Blockbuster, think about Borders. Okay, so this is what's happening. Okay, when we talk about AI as a mission field, okay, I think one of the most important things is that as Christians, we should not be left out of being playing a significant role in the next chapter of civilization. Okay, so in these metrics that develop potential impact versus the complexity of execution, as Christians leaders, I think we can see that there are quite a lot that we can do to shape the future. Okay, by playing a leadership role now in having an influence over AI. Bring it down more to a local church level. Okay, I think that as pastors, if we begin to see AI as a mission field, okay, and we begin to cast a vision for a victorious and glorious future, like the way God intended us to live, we can begin to raise up leaders in the AI field. We can lead our current business leaders into to be leaders of their industry, and then we got to also begin to understand that there's going to be such a massive restructuring of the workforce that we, as pastors, we got to be ready, to shepherd and to lead our people through this transition period. The other thing that we can also do is that we can raise the next generation to work with AI. Okay, talking about helping parents to raise their kids for a world that could potentially look radically different than what they grew up in. A lot of jobs that exist now may not exist, okay, when AI is fully implemented. So that's some things to do. Some area of specialized focus. Okay, this is where I think a lot of leaders are asking me in particular to say what should some of the things we should be focusing on to prepare our people. So I'll say the first thing you have to do is to raise AI experts, in the sense that it's not going to be for everyone, but if you have members or if you know of people that you are leading, okay, that have children with the potential to be AI experts, the youth with potential to be AI experts, they need to be mentored. They need to be mentored with godly values, because these are going to be the people that will be raising the AI. They're going to be the ones that's going to be training the AI. They're going to be the ones that's going to be telling the AI what's right and what's wrong. Okay, so as leaders, we need to be intentionally mentoring future AI experts. the next one, we need to raise up entrepreneurs. Clearly not everyone's going to be an AI expert, but a lot of people would make good entrepreneurs. Why that's important? Let me go back to that slide that I showed you. See these factors of production? The only one that's not impacted by the changes is entrepreneurship. Okay, this is where we need to begin to as Christians, as a church, play a significant role. Okay, and begin to develop that area. Okay, so let me go back to that slide. Okay, entrepreneurs. Okay, why? Because think about it this way. Okay, when YouTube first came out, when YouTube first came out, let's go further back a little bit. Let's talk about iTunes. When iTunes first hit the industry, what did it do? Before iTunes existed, the music industry was a very close industry. That means it was very hard to be a famous artist. It was very hard to be a famous singer. You either got discovered by industry scouts, or you knew people in the industry. Okay, it was kind of a close-knit group. Okay, and it was quite hard to be a famous singer or an artist, even if you had the talent. Okay, what iTunes did was that iTunes leveled the playing field. Okay, immediately every independent singer, artist, musician could launch their own song or music on the iTunes, sell it. They didn't even have to create an entire album. They could sell individual pieces, and they could be famous. Their songs sold, side by side, famous artists from major production houses on iTunes. They had the same quality icon, they had the same display, and iTunes basically, leveled the playing field. Same thing with YouTube. When YouTube came, they did the same thing for what iTunes did for music, YouTube did it for TV. They leveled the playing field. Okay, in the past, to be someone famous on TV, again, you had to be discovered by some scout. You had to, or you knew people in the industry, or you had a lot of money or something. YouTube basically allowed anyone to become famous and to make millions, from their star power without being part of the industry. It leveled the playing field. Now you're going to see that going to happen to AI, to business. What iTunes did to music, what YouTube did for the TV industry, AI is going to do that for business. It's going to level the playing field, because AI allows anyone to start a company to have amazing talent without having to hire amazing talent. Okay, so let me give you an example. Okay, you start a company now with AI, you don't have to hire a marketing manager, you don't have to hire a marketing department. AI could potentially do all that for you, okay, and produce the kind of quality marketing, analytics, research, content, execution as good as those with multi-million-dollar budget in large companies. Okay, so that's why as a church, we need to raise entrepreneurs. Okay, this is going to radically change, okay, the face of business startups. The next one is to raise for passion and AI. We need to raise the next generation, okay, to combine whatever passion that they have, okay, with AI. Example, if they want to go into law, we already know that 44% of all legal jobs in the future may not exist. Okay, but what we do know is that if someone now is raised, okay, in law and is able to combine that with AI, they're going to either be an extremely good lawyer, or B, they could specialize in the area of law that don't exist now. For example, AI law. Okay, so I'm not sure what that's going to look like. This is going purely in the extremely speculative direction right now, but who knows? Maybe there could be a conflict between a human and an AI, and we need, AI law, people who understand AI laws, to be able to fight those cases in court. So this is kind of where we're at right now. Over to you now, Joe.
Wow.
Oh wait,
Amazing.
okay.
You
My
can
book.
take-
Sorry, here's my upcoming book.
Yeah, I can't wait to go through that book. Does anybody, you could take the display off.
Okay.
And we want to open it up for questions right now.
Hey, Bishop Joe, I have a question for you, or rather for Elijah.
Go ahead.
You were speaking of Shein. Shein, yeah, we have a lot of people in our ministry, young people who are utilizing the Shein app. And I actually recently downloaded Shein. And what I find is that on this app, you find many fashion pieces, shoes, clothes, shirts, accessories, things of that nature. And as a person who is stepping foot into the fashion industry, I actually have some things that are in the works of soon emerging myself. I've thought about utilizing AI to promote my items. And I think it would be actually a great idea, because what I'm seeing is that artificial intelligence, what it does is it leverages our time. It makes it possible for us to do what we need to do within seconds, as opposed to hours, in terms of days or weeks, things of that nature. The one thing that I'm realizing, however, through artificial intelligence, especially when it comes to the fashion industry, is as fashionists, we want to touch and feel, and we want feedback. We want conversation. And I believe that this is one of the elements that are missing in terms of what artificial intelligence can offer, because, well, let's face it, artificial intelligence hasn't tried it on. They can't put it on. They can't feel it. Maybe from a descriptive point of view, they can try to describe the material or describe the fabric, but there's really no high touch. It's all high tech. I don't know if you can kind of speak into that, but this is just one of the loopholes that I'm seeing in terms of artificial intelligence, which is why it's essential to have a human, to have a person kind of manning the battlefields when it comes to customer service.
I would definitely agree that, that it's going to take some time, for AI to achieve certain level of what we call emotional intelligence. Okay. Yeah. Especially in the area of empathy. So far as we know, AI has not been able to demonstrate any level of empathy. And so jobs like nursing and all this, I think, would be fairly secure for a very, very long period of time. Mm-hmm. With regards to specifically to the fashion industry, I hear what you're saying. I totally agree with you. But again, Shein kind of took the industry by storm. So and what they were able to do to produce new design in 3 days, and to very quickly produce 600,000 designs and make them available for sale. It's shocking. That's the thing that's shocking. So they don't try to understand texture. They don't even try to understand that all they have right now are algorithms that are really good in figuring out what people are wanting and willing to buy, and adapting to that really, really quickly. So instead of trying to have the human approach of finding the right texture or the right feel, they say, you know what, let's have 1,000, let's have 10,000 different textures out there, and then we'll see what sells, and then readjust our production accordingly.
Yeah. I've realized that even with the online fashion stores, where they see a lot of downfall is when folks receive their item and they're not happy with it. And as a result, they send it back, which means that although a sale has been transacted as a result of a return, that sale that was transacted is easily rescinded as a result of, the customer not liking the product. So I just really very interested in this conversation. Want to thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, and not to go too far deep into it, what I would say is that the AI actually wants you to return it, because that's how they learn. You see, where else normal business people see the return as a bad thing, the AI actually see it as a good thing, because it allows them to be much more intelligent very fast.
Good point. Great point. Thank you for that.
Okay, Caleb has his hand up.
Thank you, Elijah, for coming back on. Really appreciate your brilliance here and your, everything. You had a slide up at one point that I think I missed that said like use Chat GPT-4, and that might answer my question, but I don't know if I made that up in my mind. But my question is like, so in order to leverage these tools and to raise people into them, experts, entrepreneurs, everything, I feel like I need to understand them better. That's just the way I feel about it. And maybe others disagree, but I feel like I need to understand it. So if I were to take a next step in learning how to use, like you said, start coding in Python, learn to train AI models. Where do I learn to code in Python and learn to train AI model? I need like kind of that question answered. I don't know if you can answer that question. It's like AI is like over here, this thing that I can't touch or feel or find or whatever. Do I just get on Chat GPT and start noodling? What is your recommendation there to understand the tool we're talking about?
Okay, so let me put things a little bit in perspective. When you accidentally saw the slide on Python and learning AI model, that was in reference to raising the next generation. Okay, that was in reference that if you are a parent, okay, and you realize that you have a kid that really has a good propensity or potential to be an AI expert, right from young, this is kind of things that you want to be thinking about. How do I get my trained to learn Python, to learn to build AI models? Don't wait for them to go to college. Teach them in elementary school, right? So that's in reference to that. In terms of where everyone is right now, I would say, you're right. If you want to have the experiential experience of what AI is, I would say that the easiest way to get your feet wet is ChatGPT. It's free. It can do amazing things. It can answer 90% of the US MLE exams correctly. And let me put it into the perspective. The US MLE is what medical students take to be board certified to be a doctor. Okay, and they're shown very, very difficult medical cases, and they have to make decisions on that. And ChatGPT, without medical training, can get 90% of the question right.
Wow.
And that's the free version that you can get right now that you can use.
Okay.
You can present to ChatGPT facts of a particular case in law and ask it to apply a certain legal reasoning, and it can do that for you too. Right.
And so in that vein right there, so say like the marketing side. So like just hypothetically, I wanted to use AI to market my church gatherings on Sunday morning.
Yep.
How far does it go in the execution? Like, where do I need to be? Because like I understand it could say, here's the SEO, it could spit out information, but like in the execution of like Google ads or whatever, how do I move into execution? Where do I learn that? Is it through experience noodling?
Yes. So right now you need to do the execution yourself.
Okay.
In the current version of ChatGPT, the next version, they are working on it where the AI can do the execution for you.
I understand. Okay.
Yeah.
That's very helpful. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
All right, Ned has his hand up.
Yeah, so it seems like overall AI's big talent is the ability to quickly move through information and pick up the high and important points. I'm curious, is anyone working on AI in terms of perhaps counseling disciplines? Now, being as a pastor, sitting and counseling people, you really obviously have to develop the skills of asking correct questions to ascertain the right information so you can get to the key points of helping a person. Is there a future we're looking at where perhaps people might do an AI interview, describe the issues they're having, tell their story, and that AI pulls out what seems to be most pertinent and important issues for the counselor or pastor, et cetera, to sort of more quickly dive into those areas administer, whether it's ministry or healing or strategy, to those problems and sort of streamline those processes for people?
Okay, that is a really interesting issue that you brought up. I've not done any experiments in that area to figure out its counseling capabilities. But what I would say is that it's doing now a really good job in advising doctors on how to present their findings in a more empathetic and human way, as scary as that sounds. So for example, when you present ChatGPT with, hey, you play the role of an assistant to a doctor and you need to present this to a patient, and the patient is a young girl, okay? How should I talk to her? How should I tell her diagnosis? ChatGPT now does a much better job in being more empathetic and human than some doctors are.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
I think Ned asked that question because he doesn't want to do counseling anymore. So it'll release pastors to be more apostolic.
Funny, Bishop.
Praise God. Okay, Lou Perez, you had your hand up.
Yes, thank you for that excellent teaching. I feel like all the books for the past 100 years that are science fiction based, many of them were prophetic in this, in talking about the loss of humanity when artificial intelligence takes over. I do this podcast, and one of the websites I use for my stats, they now have an AI plugin where it says, okay, punch in a paragraph of what you want to talk about in your podcast. So I did it for fun. And in about 30 seconds, let's say, it wrote an episode and recorded a voice, a machine voice. And the episode was excellent based on my ideas. My only concern is, you talked about teaching people to embrace AI. Is at what point do we have to really reassert our humanity? Without, of course, being narcissistic, but at what point do we have to teach people, hey, AI is good, but don't lose your humanity in the process? That's my question.
That's a really good point. And if you look at the list of threats that that listed out with AI, I'm not necessarily encouraging everyone to get into AI because it's the latest trend. I'm encouraging people to prepare themselves for a future that can no longer be avoided, if you understand what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. Okay. For example, your podcasting that you mentioned about that machine sounding narrative, within a few months from now, they're going to have the function where they will be able to narrate that podcast for you in your selection of whatever character you want. You want it to narrate it like what Bishop Mattera sounds like. You just need 4 seconds of his voice, and the AI would read that podcast, making it sound like he was speaking in the podcast. Okay, so that's all coming really fast. And I think the challenge is, how do we exert our humanity? I think the best way to exert humanity is to work with the AI, because we have passed the point where you can actually try to stop this thing.
And I've used it already for a while, to help improve some of my introductions. When I write an introduction, it helps to kind of polish it up a little bit, and then I kind of tweak it after that. But I hear what you're saying, that so you're saying maybe a partnership.
Yeah.
AI is not necessarily the devil, but it's like the internet was, right? Where it's a tool.
Mm-hmm. And I would say that those sci-fi books were not being prophetic. What it was that it was creating a vision that a lot of people aspired to and build technology to do that. Mm-hmm. Okay. For example, Larry Page from Google, that these science fiction books was his inspiration. that set the direction of what he wanted to build.
Well, yeah, and you have the Star Treks. They all have the idea of, losing your humanity, with Data, the android, and C.S. Lewis wrote about it in the 40s in one of his space books. But I think it's an amazing thing that there's always this war between machine and what God created, in story, in meta narrative. I mean, that's how I see it, at least. But thanks,
Mhm.
thank you.
Okay, I see. I thought Jacqueline had a hand up, and then I don't see her now. But I see Oscar has his hand up.
Yes, as Elijah was doing his presentation, I took the liberty and I researched the comment that he posted of the Colombian judge that he used the chat GTP or GPT. It was amazing because I read it, and it was talking about how this autistic boy, their parents were trying to get the government to pay for his treatment, and the judge ruled in favor of him and his family because they recollect all the data, and it was able to rule in favor of them because they didn't have the resources to pay for this autistic boy treatment. So it amazed me. It's wow. I was like, let me read about it, and it collects the information and actually resolve the issue on the benefit of a family. Just to comment on what Ned was talking about, the advising and the counseling and all that. So shocking and amazing, and it's a tool that probably we can use on our benefits on how to deal with counseling and all the issues as pastors.
We have James Lockhart on the line as well, the meeting. James, any new developments internationally or with the legal or economic industry that you could chime in with?
Well, no, I just really would like to underline a couple of things that Elijah said. By the way, I'm a leader in the Christian Chamber of Commerce movement worldwide. And one of the first things I did was Elijah and Fred Market and I, after you brought us together here, Joe, in the last couple of months, we started a two-part training series with the Christian Chamber of Commerce here in the United States. The next one, actually, we're going to be focusing exactly on what Elijah is doing here and applying it to the entrepreneurs community. But Elijah, I want you as pastors, as leaders, as bishops, as apostles to understand the importance of something that's very prophetic, what Elijah said. And that is that the Christian entrepreneurial community needs to embrace this trend so that we are not left behind as dinosaurs. And, it's almost like, when we face the Industrial Revolution, if all the church had stayed as farmers, we're in a kind of a flip stage. And Elijah, if you want to speak to this, that'd be great. But I think it's really important that we adopt the mentality of using this technology to the best that we're able, and seize the extraordinary leapfrog opportunities that will be unleashed in terms of wealth. So that's what I wanted to contribute here, Bishop Joe. Thank you so much.
Wow, that's amazing. I think you and others focusing on the entrepreneurs, even if they don't become leaders in AI, utilizing AI to create wealth. Deuteronomy 8:18. The other thing is somebody, I think Reg mentioned about, shouldn't we focus on the mind of Christ, not artificial intelligence? Well, we have to understand that through God's common grace or creation grace, he gives us, as image bearers of him, he gives us the ability to create things like artificial intelligence. It says in Psalm 8, God gave us dominion over the whole earth, and he made us a little lower than Elohim. Elohim is a word used sometimes for God, sometimes for angels. they're heavenly beings of strength. And it says we've been made a little lower than them to steward the earth. And so as image bearers, we can do something that is, as co-creators, do something that is very similar to what God, has been able to do. Of course, we'll never reach God's omnipotence, omniscience, and all of that. Nobody will ever know AI. But the point is, it's not artificial intelligence versus focusing on the mind of Christ. It's the mind of Christ that enables us to understand the laws of nature, astronomy, physics, subatomic physics, mathematics, so that we could create things like AI. And again, maybe a lot of pastors thought television was from the devil, radio was from the devil, internet was from the devil, and now, or crypto, and now they're going to say AI is from the devil. Whatever we don't understand, we call the devil, or we call it a fulfillment of the mark of the beast in Revelation 13. What I think God intends us to be the leaders in every field, redeem it for good, and use it for the sake of the gospel. So why can't we utilize AI to preach better and to be able to reach every genre, every ethnic group, every language? I mean, I'm sure there are models out there where you could preach a 5-minute message. It'll translate it into 120 languages, get it on every social media platform, even things that we never heard of. So it's not just Instagram and TikTok. I'm researching that right now. And I want to be able to utilize AI to get the message of the kingdom out to every corner of the earth. So why can't we do that? And by doing that, we'll saturate the earth with the gospel, we'll saturate the church with wealth, and we'll be able to have more influence than the world. Why not? That's how I think. I think everything is an opportunity to go to the next level. Any comment?
No, and we get the mind of Christ. We can, with the mind of Christ, we can be the best creators. We can also be the best creative users of that technology. So it's not an either or in either sense. It's actually really important. So thanks. I saw that comment too, and I'm glad you reacted to it. I had the same reaction, Bishop. Thank you so much.
Okay, well, we got 3 minutes. Any closing remarks?
Elijah, do you want to talk just for 1 minute on training AI? I think that's a really important point, and it goes across the the religion domain, the business domain, and really the whole of society. But talk to that for a second, would you?
Okay, so I got to talk to it prior to ChatGPT and after ChatGPT, so that you understand the difference. Okay, prior to ChatGPT with narrow AI, the way you train an AI is to have what we call training sets. Okay, which basically, to give you an example, if you want to train an AI to understand whether a picture had an orange in it, you show it like thousands of pictures with oranges and thousands of pictures without oranges. And then the AI would figure out, oh, okay, so pictures with oranges have these characteristics, and then it would be able to very successfully predict whether a picture has an orange or doesn't have an orange. Okay. Now with ChatGPT and the LLM models, it's kind of different. Okay, it uses a neural net. Okay, so basically the challenge now is the people that are actually building it. Think about neural net. The way it works is that you give it an input, and then you have a black box, and then you give it an output. You don't really know what goes on in that black box. Okay, no one actually understands that. And what they do is that now they stack those black boxes one on top of the other, and now you have thousands or hundreds of thousands of those black boxes. And every input is an output, and the output is another input to another black box, and it goes through this, and that's what I call a neural net. Okay, and so what happens is that with ChatGPT, what it do is that they just feed it more and more information, and then all of a sudden, it can do things that we never knew it could do before, and we don't really know why. Okay, let me give you an example. When we first started, we fed ChatGPT like the entire Wikipedia. Okay, then we fed it like everything on the internet. Not everything, but half of the internet up to year 2021. and it would do a lot of really amazing things. But then when you ask it, what's 2 plus 2, it could not get it right. Okay. A simple question like what's 2 plus 2, you could not get it right. And then they just kept feeding it more and more information. And then one day it just wakes up and it could do arithmetic. You do 2 plus 2 equals 4. And no one knows why. And now it can solve all arithmetic problems. Okay. And as it fed more and more information to it, one day we realized it understands Persian. No one intentionally taught it Persian. No one has any idea why one day it woke up and it understands Persian. Okay, but now it does. Okay, so that's kind of how LLM models are being trained right now. And this, and I would say inherently, LLM models in the current state, like ChatGPT and all, has a liberal bias. Okay, Open AI is doing a lot to try to curb that. You know, when I used it in the first few weeks when it was launched, it was really, really woke. Okay, it was so far left, it was scary. Okay, but they cannot go because they don't really understand how it works. They cannot really go in and tune it. Okay, so what they do is that they put filters in front of it. So it comes up with really woke statements. It will give you a canned response now. Okay, and they will block what ChatGPT is actually trying to say. Okay, now why is it woke could be a more interesting question. Okay, it could be that there are just more liberal materials out there on the internet and on Wikipedia than there are conservative or Christian materials. That could be one potential reason. So having said that, and again, this is something I'm not going to put in my book, but I'm going to say out since you brought up the issue about training. If we want to train future LLM models to have more Christian values, to have more Christian beliefs, one possibility is to encourage Christians to start putting content on Wikipedia. Every LLM model out there builds their first base model on all contents on Wikipedia. That's their source of truth right now. Okay, and after that, they stack more information on top of that. So if you want to have influence over future AI models, okay, encourage your people to start, learning how to edit and start learning how to put content on Wikipedia, number one. Number two, a real backdoor for Christians to have influence over the AI right now would be for Wikipedia articles in languages other than English. Because the English part of the Wikipedia is highly moderated by people, and some of them have very left-wing views. But non-English, guess what? The AI understands it perfectly and is not that moderated by liberals right now. Okay, so all those mission work you're doing in all those countries and those people all speak languages other than English, it's time to encourage all of them to start putting in entries into Wikipedia.
Wow. Amazing stuff. Yeah, I'm gonna try to utilize AI to have all my articles translated into multiple languages, put it on my website. So I'm doing a test run right now for that to see how accurate it is. If it's only 80% accurate, I won't do it. But if it's like 190% or whatever, I will. Oh, this is amazing. I think I thought Marilyn Weeks had her hand up. I don't see it, but if you have your hand up, Marilyn, did you want to say something? You have to take yourself off mute. Hello?
Thank you. I'm sorry I couldn't get my mic off mute.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Bishop Mattera, and thank you, Elijah, for that excellent presentation today. I had a question. Actually, I was piggybacking after a comment raised about entrepreneurship. Elijah, you mentioned that only entrepreneurship is not impacted by AI, and I guess I put one little word after it, now. It's not being impacted now.
Agreed.
And I think for me, that's very important, because what I'm seeing is that for everything we have to do fast, which is not something that the church at large is accustomed to. And I believe that that's someone mentioned the dinosaur. It's like, we got to shift this dinosaur, get it to lose some weight fast, you know? So I was thinking of that, but I've been into OpenAI for quite a while now too, online, and just get the free version and practicing how to ask questions and getting better at that. But I've also been into the entrepreneurial vein, if you will. And I attended most recently a webinar. Lots of gurus have been rushing to get into the market, and they are showing people how to build their businesses with AI based on software reprogramming that they have done with the AI. So AI composites of questions under various areas like, the marketing, lead generation, etc. And obviously all of that you can use for the church as well, okay? So I say that no, it's already begun with respect to getting into entrepreneurship, except things tend to be slower there. My concern here is that existing entrepreneurs, almost like existing ministerial leaders, need to at least be getting into the basics of understanding how to create basic questions. Like someone asked about pastoral counseling.
Right.
You're going to get answers in that. And I guess the next thing I was just going to share was that the Holy Spirit pulled me. I majored in economics, worked at the Federal Reserve, 26 plus years, till the Holy Spirit pulled me off. And that was through a prophetic word 5 years earlier. He was going to pull me off, okay? And so I was an official there. But the thing about it was I was concerned about the journey. It's like, okay, I was going into ministry and, all that kind of stuff. But then came this entrepreneurial realm for which I could not understand. And then I saw this word of Joseph and the Josephines that God is raising up also through entrepreneurship. And I think you hit the nail on the head but we have to see it. When you see the Googles and Microsofts and all of these other companies laying off, not just for AI. Some family members told me last night, those in the South, you're seeing things not on the media here in the North about massive layoffs because of the immigrant situation. And who used to work on these jobs. And now the construction projects are closing down. There's a lot of intersections going on. And so where is the survival? In my mind, it is the point of being an entrepreneur, where one can raise, capital, build be independent, while as you may lose your job, the other streams are created. So that was just my thought in a nutshell. Thank you again for just opening up our eyes and intellect to all of this. Thank you.
Wow. Okay. Well, this has been very rich. Again, we meet every week, except for August. We'll pick it up the first Thursday in September. We have a retreat coming up in Pennsylvania, amazing homemade food and incredible intimacy, very, very cheap compared to hotels, October 2nd to the 4th. For our apostolic family, any apostolic leaders, spouses, everybody, you're all welcome. We'll have that up by next week. And then next Thursday, the final Zoom meeting before we take a break for the summer, we're going to be dealing with believing God for the next Jesus revolution for young people, with somebody who lived through the original Jesus revolution and was best friend of Lonnie Frisbee, walked with John Wimber, and actually walked with Harold Bradison. Some of you may know who Harold is. He traveled with Harold for 12 years. So this guy has just been involved in every different kind of move of God that you could imagine. So we're going to have a great conversation next week, very inspiring. So we're going to end the meeting. I want to thank Elijah Lowe again. Another great job. Can't wait till his book comes out. Thanks to James Lockhart and others who chimed in and shared. So In Jesus' name, we just bless all of you. So let's just take a minute to say goodbye.
Yeah, thank you.
God bless you, everybody.
God bless. Thank you.
God bless everybody.
God bless. God bless.
Thank you.
God bless everybody. God bless.
Thank you. God bless
God
everyone.
bless y'all. Have a great day.
Thank you.
God bless Raul.
Thank you, Bishop. Thank you,
God bless
Elijah.
everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Do I came late?
Thank
Blessings,
you.
everyone.
Sorry about that.
All right.
God bless you all. See you soon.
God bless.